Hello YouTube. Another day, and we have another Lenovo Legion to fix. Hopefully you're not as bored of Lenovo Legion repairs as I am. This one is a 15ACH6H, and I think it's got a Ryzen 7 with an RTX3060. Let's show you what it does. Yeah, so see all those lines on the screen there? It looks like the GPU's a little messed up on this one. I think possibly some bad joints under the video memory. Let's get it tested with a memory test and see if it identifies the bad channel. Yeah, there we go. That was a fail. Now we've run MEM test, let's get this thing apart. Okay, so the memory test identified this as a bad VRAM channel, and this one is bad as well. So we've got memory errors on A1 and AA. Let's get the rest of the system stripped out, and we'll start by reballing these two. Now, as per usual with Lenovo's, they're underfilled, so it's going to be difficult to remove these two without affecting that one, so I might reball that one as well. Hopefully we can shield these three enough to prevent any cold joints occurring under these ones, and hopefully the GPU doesn't develop any further cold joints or anything like that under it. We'll get these reballed, we'll run MEM test again, see what happens, and if it fails, it's likely an issue under the core, which means the core's got to come off. Because of the underfill, I can't remove the core without also having to reball all of the VRAMs. So, worst case, we're going to have to reball all of the VRAM and the core, and hopefully that would resolve our problem. I hope I don't have to do that, but we'll see. So one off, didn't want to come off too easy. I think I've ripped a couple pads there. And there we go, all three VRAMs are off. I think I've ripped two pads, one there, oh maybe three pads on this first one. We can fix that. The problem with these is you want to keep as much heat off them as possible, because if you heat them too much, you risk getting cold joints under the GPU as well. So I would rather rip a couple pads than have to reball this GPU. We can fix the pads. So hopefully we sort of sacrifice the PCB a little bit at the cost of saving the GPU joints. So next thing is to clean up all the residue and get this ready. Best to do it whilst the board's still hot, so whilst it's on the preheater I'll get all of the solder cleaned up. So, I've really messed this first one up pretty good. There's at least a handful of broken pads, but I should be able to fix this. See, there's one in that corner. There's a lifted pad there. Okay, whilst the board cools down, I'm gonna work on the VRAM, and then we can get back to reballing or repairing those pads. Put the VRAM back on and see what happens. Okay, so I have the VRAM off and reboard. Let's start working on this PCB. These broken pads. That one I think is not connected, so that one should be okay. Got two more. One more down here? Is that one still okay? So, I took a quick break after I cleaned up and repaired those broken pads. But now we're ready to put the VRAM back on. So, let me get the board back on the preheater and get this VRAM fitted. I lost this capacitor on the way, so I'm going to replace that. Knock that one back into place. I think the rest of the passives are okay though. Was there one there? Ah yeah, probably one there as well that's gone. So I'll sort that out and then we can get ready to test the laptop. Don't forget the I/O cable. That's better. Okay, so flux on my side, I will have managed to deal with all of the cold solder joints without creating more bad joints under the GPU core or the neighbouring VRAM. It can be quite easy to break those joints just because of that epoxy nearby, so if you get those hot enough the solder will get all messed up. And that looks about as good as it did before. That's a not so good. Well, let's run another memory test and see what errors we get. Well, that didn't work. So there's one thing left to do, which is get the board on the rework station, rip off the core, rip off all of the remaining video memory, and reball it all. I really didn't want to do that. No use complaining about it, so let's just get on with it. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is when I get to the top end of the profile where the GPU is ready to come off, is I'm going to try and pause the profile and try and remove all of the VRAM at the same time as the GPU, to save myself a little bit of time, save myself putting it through another heat cycle. And then we should just be able to clean up the board and reball it all, get it back on. Hopefully that'll fix our problems. So let's get it on the rework station. Okay, the GPU is off, as is the VRAM. So let's clean up the GPU and get it ready to reboot. Looks like we lost a couple of pads in the corner. You can just see that orange on those balls. So we might need to rebuild a couple of pads, either that or they're non-connected. Oh, and we've lost 3 there. And a couple there as well. I'm going to try a new flux for reballing today. This is called Spunk. Oh no, sorry, SPNK blend. It's a bit of a suspicious colour, but we'll see how we get on. Man, that looks gross. Not too bad. We lost a couple of balls, but it's done alright. Ah, I merged a ball. Okay, the GPU has been reballed. Let's get that through the ultrasonic cleaner and get on with the VRAM. Okay, so we've got the VRAM and the GPU reballed ready to go. Now we just need to clean up the board, get rid of all that old solder. Okay, I've got the old solder mostly cleaned up. There's still a couple of areas of the main GPU site that I need to go back over and double check. But for now, I think I'm going to fit the VRAM first, get everything cleaned up, and then I can move on to the GPU. There we go. I think we're ready for the GPU to go back on. It kind of sucked. So we lost a lot of pads in this corner and a few in each of the other corners. Now there's a couple of different explanations for this. Either I pulled the GPU off too early, which is entirely possible. When you've got an underfilled chip like this, it's hard to know that it's entirely liquid solder underneath. So it might be that there was still some solid joints under there, and I just ripped those pads up when I removed the GPU. The other explanation, which is equally possible, is that this laptop took an impact or got dropped or something like that, which broke these pads, and then when I removed the GPU, the pads came with it because they were no longer attached to the board. That would also explain why we had lines on the screen and bad joints on VRAM. It could have just been that those two pads that I fixed in the top corner were already cracked and broken. Anyway, if you plan on doing this particular repair, GPU replacement or GPU reballing on this model board, my advice would be don't. It sucks. Let's get the GPU on and see what happens. I don't really have high hopes. So there we go. The GPU is back on the board. The profile seemed to run okay. It seemed to melt quite well. So I really don't think this is going to work. You know, reballing 9 chips, GPU and all the VRAM at once, all underfilled, multiple bad pads. Just, there's a fair chance that something's not going to work. But the best we can do is clean it up. There's some missing passives, a couple of capacitors there, which I knocked off the board when I pulled the GPU off, so I've got to repopulate those components. And then we can get it back in its chassis and see if it displays anything. Even if it displays and still has lines on it, at least I haven't made it any worse. But we'll see. We'll see. So you can see it's still a bit fluxy, but it looks okay. Okay, the cap's back on. Okay. I guess it's time to test it. I'm not going to go too far with cleaning it for now, just because I'm probably going to put this board in the ultrasonic cleaner. I mean, it probably won't work, so probably need some more rework first, but we'll see how we get on, and we'll clean it up a bit later. I can leave that I/O board unplugged as well. I don't necessarily need to plug it in just to test. One stick of RAM will do just fine. Yeah, that'll do. Plug the battery in. Did that power light light up? Yeah, okay. Here goes nothing. Oh. The display just did something. Oh my god, it's on. Okay. And there's no lines on it either. Will it boot Windows? No way. It's booting. I thought I'd ruined this one. And it's in Windows. No trackpad. Did I forget to plug the trackpad in? Maybe. Yep. Trackpad was unplugged. Okay. Let's try this again. I can't believe it displays. I can't believe it doesn't have lines on it. As Soren would say, that is crazy. Okay, I guess we should run a mem test on the GPU and see if that passes. Let's see. That's looking good. That's a very good... Oh! What was that? What did that fail on? I don't know how well mem test usually runs on these machines, so we'll see. Huh, okay. So it isn't showing any errors. I wonder why it said it had failed. Strange. Okay. Let's try Firmock. Okay, well it runs. It's low FPS because the charger's unplugged. Let's plug the charger in. 120 FPS. This is looking good. Cool. So there we go. Another Legion fixed. This one, bad joints or possibly bad traces under the GPU. I mean, I know we had those two pads in the top corner that we had to rebuild. That could have been cracked pads in the first place, or it could have been because of the epoxy and how I lifted the chip up. Maybe it was just slightly cold when I lifted it. But it's Lenovo up to their old tricks again. If the epoxy hadn't been present on this board, I wouldn't have had to rebuild all of the VRAM. So, yeah, thanks Lenovo. You made this one really tricky for me. Anyway, hopefully this is my last big Lenovo repair for a little while. I hope you liked this video. And subscribe to see me do something different next time. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.